Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and with me here today is...
Number one fan, Tim.
All right, here's the deal. Have you heard about Natalie Hage in the news?
No, I have not.
She is a plus-size model from Texas.
Okay.
And what happened to her was she was going on a flight to LAX, and she paid extra money to be in the row that is the emergency exit assistance row by the door, so she'd have extra leg room.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
She gets on the plane, and she sits in the middle seat next to this guy, who she said immediately starts huffing and puffing and sighing, which she figured was because, you know, she was sitting next to him. And then he pulls out his phone and he starts texting. But he's going out of his way to angle it so she can't read it.
Oh, somebody's got a secret.
So then she sees what he's texting. And he's making fun of her weight and complaining about how he's jammed up against the wall of the side of the plane, saying to whoever he was talking to, God, I'm probably going to leave neck marks on the window.
How plus size is she?
She's a fat fuck.
Okay, so she's in the realm of Linda?
Not quite, but somewhere's in between. Close, getting there. She's probably a size 16.
Okay, because I remember not too long ago there was that swimsuit-ish model for Sports Illustrated, and she was, quote, plus-sized. But honestly, like, I didn't see anything plus-sized of that.
Yeah, that's Ashley Graham, and she's barely plus-sized.
Yeah, see, and when you said plus-size, I didn't know if you were referring to something of that or something much more grand, so to speak.
Yeah, she's a bigger girl.
Okay.
And so she sees the girl that this guy's talking to goes, well, hopefully she didn't eat any Mexican food. And he responds, it looks like she ate a whole Mexican.
Oh, man.
Well, she took her phone out and took some pictures of his screen so she could read it. And then she posts them to Instagram, saying, I'm on a plane, I paid extra money to have this seat, and now I'm being fat-shamed by the gentleman next to me.
Okay.
What jumps out at you about this so far? We'll see if we both pick up on the same thing.
Well, she's being sensitive because the guy's teasing her because of her size, and she paid extra money so she could have more leg room, more just room in general. Yeah, I gotta be honest though, I mean, if you're that big, you gotta expect jokes. You know, I mean, if it really bugs her that much, you can try to lose the weight. Or, unless she likes being that size, well, then she just has to learn to turn the other cheek, I guess.
Well, she's proud of who she is, and I'll have you know she has 133,000 Instagram followers.
Okay.
Who are mostly probably people that are of a similar ilk, who are all about body positivity.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to be positive about your body, but you can't let everything every other person says get you down.
Well, see, here's what jumped out at me. Forget that he was being mean, and that she could have just not said anything, or done anything, and just let it roll off her back. She went out of her way to invade his privacy.
That is the other thing that I was kind of taken from. Like, when you were talking about, I was like, did she just kind of, like, reach over and be like, click? Or was she trying to be incognito about it?
She was trying to be secretive that she was doing it.
So how in the hell does she... I mean, if he's trying to tip it away from her so she can't see it...
Well, at one point, he's kind of moving in his seat, and she snapped a picture of it then. The point being is they have this training where I work. Perhaps you've also been through it. It's called Don't Need It, Don't Read It, A Guide to Data Privacy.
No, I haven't taken that course yet.
Oh my fuck, it's so annoying.
Well, mine's not working. My system and my computer's not working.
That's fine, you're better off. They made us take this thing, and there was a video, and it showed people talking, like, a worker notices information about a client and recognizes who it is, and then gets caught talking on the phone by a supervisor to one of his friends, saying, oh, I gotta work with this lady. She's one of my clients now, and I know her. And apparently, it wasn't his screen that he read it on. It was his next cubicle over person's screen. So they go, if you don't need it, don't read it. So as in, don't screen hustle other people's business, emails. If somebody leaves a window up, don't read it.
Yeah, that's just common. To me, that's just common courtesy. Like, I don't walk around what my coworkers are doing during lunch or whatever, trying to see what they're looking at on their computer.
Right. But conversely now, if you have anything on your screen that offends another coworker, they'll nail you to a fucking cross for it. So it's double-edged sword.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be looking at it. But then if they do look at it, you get in trouble regardless.
You get in trouble. Even if it's something that shouldn't be offensive, they got offended by it. I'm not saying they had examples of people in the past that have been busted looking at porn at work, and people saw it, and they got fired.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm discussing here. That's a common sense, don't look at porn at work, dipshit.
Yeah.
But if you're reading a news story, and it happens to be slanted either left or right, and you've got the opposing political view type of person, say I'm reading something, and I would never be caught dead reading Breitbart News, which is extremely alt-right, virtually white supremacist. It's Milo Yiannopoulos' old stopping grounds.
Yeah, I won't read it.
I won't read that shit, but say I was reading it, and then some fucking libtard snowflake sees it over my shoulder. They just see the name Milo Yiannopoulos, who, whether you agree with them or not, is neither here nor there. They get offended saying, well, he was reading about this guy that's very controversial, that says very almost white supremacist things, and he's very anti-lesbian, and then it's not your screen. You're going out of your way to fucking read something that I wasn't like, hey, get a load of this. If you show somebody something like, hey, come read this, it's hilarious, and they get offended, well, you've kind of painted yourself into a corner. But if somebody's looking over your shoulder, they're eavesdropping on conversations.
Yeah, that's like the few episodes ago you did about confronting racism or confronting racist.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the type of person that would do that, look over your shoulder to see what you're looking at, to see if they can get you in trouble, would be confronting a racist.
Yeah.
Just a person that wants to start shit, not actually do anything.
Pretty much, and then they get this sense of accomplishment out of putting you on blast across social media or in the news. They get the attention, as they get the affirmation they're looking for, that they're doing a good job, that they're on the right side.
No, what they're doing is policing what everybody thinks, what everybody reads. The freedom that I have to read whatever the hell I want to read is being violated right there.
Yeah.
I mean, what I read is basically my right to speech. That's a freedom of speech, wouldn't it be? I want to read this, so I can.
Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't be, if you're reading something, especially if he's texting on his phone.
That there would be a total invasion of privacy.
That's an invasion of privacy. If I look through the window of your house to see what TV show you're watching, say I live next door to you and I'm mowing the lawn, and I'm like, oh, what's the score of the game? And I look in your window, and Mrs. Number One Fan catches me, and then calls the cops on me for being a peeping Tom, you think they're going to go, well, he did just want to see the score of the game. No, the cops are going to say, don't fucking do that, you creepy prick.
Yeah.
But you hit the nail right on the head. Even our thoughts aren't safe. Our own private thoughts. Like, how much shit do I talk about so many different kinds of persons, places, and things? I make fun of stuff constantly. Mm-hmm. It entertains me. It makes life livable.
Mm-hmm.
But so many fucking social justice warriors would take the majority of what I say and call me a borderline racist or a bigot or prejudiced or sexist or a misogynist. And it's like, you know what? I'm so the opposite of most of those things.
Yeah, you are. You really are, actually.
But all they do is catch in the moment saying something. They don't care. You can't laugh at a racist joke or else you're racist.
Yeah. They don't even care about what the context is. Like, again, another earlier episode where you were using N-word to describe what people were doing. Not that you're a racist or anything like that.
Well, that's another point. You just said N-word. People are uncomfortable with saying the word nigger referentially. I'm not calling anyone a nigger. I'm not saying it's okay to say nigger to people. I'm not for the idea of what the word nigger stands for. But you can say the word and you shouldn't be lambasted for it.
But that's just it. You do get lambasted for it. And it's bullshit.
I'm not outside like watching some kid roll by on his bike like, hey, nigger, how's it going?
Yeah.
That would be uncalled for and really wrong. But if I'm reading a story like Huck Finn, he doesn't call him N-word Jim. He calls him Nigger Jim.
Never actually read that book.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
You think the fucking Elijah Wood version of Huck Finn had the term Nigger Jim in it? No, they sanitized that shit for kids. But still, the point being, you're just using the word nigger. But getting back to Miss Natalie Hage, So she violates his privacy.
Peekaboo!
And then she outs him to the internet.
You bitch!
And this is another little light went off in my head. She's standing up for herself. That's fine. Do it. Knock yourself out. That's your business. Don't put it on the internet then for everybody to give you an attaboy.
Basically what she's doing is exactly what he was doing. Shaming.
He wasn't even
She
really
sunk to
shaming.
his
He was
level.
just being a dick. Talking shit is a far cry from him going to her and going, God, you're a fat pig. That's fat shaming.
Yeah, he was just joking with his friend. But, of course, she took it as fat shaming. But now she's doing, actually, now I think about it, she's being worse than he was.
Well, she didn't show his face.
And I don't care. Still, she's taking pictures of his conversation, which is private, and then she's putting it all over the fucking internet so everybody can see and be like, whoa, what a bastard. It's like, hey, how about the bitch that took pictures of someone else's phone and lambasted it all over the internet for the sake of shaming him, whether he's named or not?
Well, and the thing is I've only told you half of the story so far.
Okay, I'd like to hear the rest.
When they get to LAX airport in Los Angeles, she calls him out. And first he denies it. She's like, I took pictures of your screen on my phone. I read it. I know you were talking to me. He's like, okay, well, I apologize. You're right. I've been drinking. And she basically gets the, you caught me apology. It's not even like a real apology.
Yeah.
So she videotapes the entire thing to put it on Instagram. And she gets...
Did she have his permission?
She didn't show his face.
Oh, okay.
But still, I'd be like, stop fucking filming me. She went out of her way to not show his face because she didn't want to start a, quote, circle of shame where people would start talking smack about his appearance or he might get in trouble and lose his job or something, which fine, okay, kudos there, but still the whole thing's a fucking mess because you're putting it out there for the world to see. You want attention.
She failed.
How many times have I done things of a similar ilk, called somebody out for being an asshole? I don't fucking record the conversation. I might joke about doing it or relay the story, but I'm doing it to tell a story. I'm not like, hey, everybody, here's how righteous I am. It's like, hey, this one time this happened.
Yeah.
It's very different than 133,000 people all getting the video and going, good for you, Natalie, way to be. And the internet's all full of the fucking mutual admiration society for her. And on my Twitter account for the show, I put out a few tweets about it. Like, don't need it, don't read it, data privacy, mind your own goddamn business, don't screen hustle, Natalie Hage.
I want to tell her, fuck you, because what she, I don't think what she did, what he did was mean, but he did it privately. What she did was 10 times worse.
Well, yeah, and the fact is, you can't force civility out of people. If you want to be offended, be offended. Go leave your plane and go fucking talk a bunch of shit to them, to the people you're going to see that you're going to Los Angeles for. Don't fucking sit there and make it an internet spectacle. And more importantly, here's the best part. She paid money to sit in the emergency exit aisle. When you sit in that aisle, or if you end up getting those seats and not knowing it, they will ask you, would you feel comfortable assisting other patrons if there's an emergency and the plane goes down or we make a water landing? I had to make that decision once, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. And the lady's like, well, then you can't sit there. I'm like, well, I don't want to. I want to get out of the plane. I don't want to sit here and choke on smoke or drown if we're on water or on fire.
This was a choice.
I don't want to think about that. In the case of an emergency, I don't want people's lives to be under my responsibility. And I almost walked off the plane because I was a teenager and she was making me feel bad for wanting to sit there still. The tickets that my parents paid for, they're just luck of the draw. They didn't know it would be the seats. And then she's basically trying to make me feel shitty and guilt trip me out of my own seat.
You should have been like, okay, I changed my mind. Yeah, I'll help people. I'll help myself right out this fucking door if the plane's on fire.
Pretty much. And I think I gave her some line of bullshit. And then I sat there next to Neil.
Fingers crossed we don't crash. Fingers crossed we don't crash.
Yeah, I don't have to outrun the flames. I just have to outrun Neil.
Trip him.
And my mom's going to die, so.
You son of a bitch!
Anyway, so she gets this half-assed apology out of this guy. And here's where it gets awesome. Not for her, but, to people like me that like to play devil's advocate. He's like, well, now you are sitting in the emergency aisle. So, I mean, can you even help people? Like, in the event of an emergency, would you be physically able to help other people out?
Why am I picturing Gilbert Grape's mom at this point?
She's not that big. But
Okay,
still.
because it's just like, is she giving up, like... I think even Linda could help people.
No,
despite-
she couldn't. She's 68, she's feeble and stupid, and she panics in awkward social situations, and you're not going to get Linda to help anybody out with fucking anything. Unless, of course, it's an ice cream sandwich eating contest. Or a Catholic shame-a-thon.
God damn you!
Like, if they did a decathlon of eating and bitching and impulse shopping and Catholic guilt and closet racism, my mom would be a gold medal decathlete in
I
that.
was going to say, yeah.
And even though a decathlon has 10 events and I only named 5 and I should have said pentathlon, fuck you. Math.
Roadhouse.
So he asked her about that, and she's like, that's not the point. I paid for the seat. Well, it kind of is the point if you're fucking sitting there. But I like that he took those last kind of parting words, and she goes, well, he just said he was drunk. No, he said he was drinking, which lowered his inhibition. He didn't say he was sloppy drunk.
Yeah, you lower your guard if you're drinking.
It's so fucking stupid. It's fucking ridiculous.
See, at this point, again, I mean, I don't really feel bad for either of them, but I think she did far worse than he did.
Well, now, I could put this episode out, and then somebody that's very pro-Natalie Hage could get a hold of it and try to destroy my life. I'm not trying to force it onto them. It's on the internet. The episode's not going to be titled something really obvious like Natalie Hage is a fat pig, fuck yourself. Because as hilarious as that is, I'm way better with coming up with sly turns of phrase for my episode titles.
Yes, you are. I wish I could name my airsoft videos the way you name your videos.
You just got to bounce the ideas off of me.
Well, you have themes to yours. Mine's basically the same shit over and over and over again. It's just whether or not what sound bites I put in.
It's all about use pop culture references. Use a title to something else. The episode of Blumpkin and Friends called VR Troopers.
Yeah.
There was a kid's show called VR Troopers.
You know, I got that when I was scrolling through the suggested videos. I was just like, what the VR Trooper? Who the hell are these guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a third-rate Power Rangers. Because it was like Power Rangers, Ultraman, VR Troopers.
Nerd!
Piece of
Wow.
pop culture trivia. Jason David Frank played the green/white ranger in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series.
It's
He
so
played-
sad that you know that.
Shut up. He's the greatest ranger ever. Tommy Oliver. Jason David Frank tried out to be on the show VR Troopers. And then a guy that ended up getting the part that he tried out for tried out to be the Green Ranger on Power Rangers. So they got swapped. They tried out for the opposing show, and the guy that ended up being the VR Troopers guy, I couldn't name him if you put a gun in my face. But I could tell you so many useless facts about Jason David Frank because he's an incredible human being, and he still gets paid thousands of dollars just to go talk to nerds.
For royalties, yeah.
He gets
Probably.
appearance fees. He came up with his own martial art offshoot, and then he has his own dojo. He was an MMA fighter.
Okay, if you know useless trivia, did he ever nail the Pink Ranger?
Ah, you mean Amy Jo Johnson, who later on went on to be on the show.
Once again,
It was Canadian. Fuck, I can't think of it. It's on Ion. It's like a action drama, and they're like SWAT cops. And yes, her name was Amy Jo Johnson. I have pounded my meat to her so many times when I was a teenager.
I did a few times myself, but I never knew her name. It was just like, oh, Pink Ranger, oh.
Oh, for God's sake.
Thank you for the assist with the phone, Flashpoint. Anyway, in review, I get why Natalie Hage felt the need to speak up for herself. She thought she was being body shamed. I would say to grow a thicker skin there, Snowflake, because people are going to talk shit about you whether you're skinny or fat, tall or short, young or old, brilliant or retarded. People will always find something to make fun of you for. Just let them. Let them get the hate out. Let them get out that negativity and just be the bigger person and rise above it. Calling them out is antagonistic and you're being confrontational. And what if he would have punched you in your stupid fat face?
Well, calling him out in person, on the plane, or afterwards, as she did without recording, that would have been fine. You know, just approach him and be like, dude, that wasn't cool, all right? Why do you got to be such a prick about it? But again, she didn't do that. She used her fame to do something that was worse.
She wanted
You know?
attention.
I mean, I have no problem with the person standing up for themselves, but just to do it the way she did it ain't right.
It's such a millennial thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to utilize technology to engage social media so I can get the affirmation I need to feel like I matter, when I'm pretty sure that 132,994 of those 133,000 followers could give a shit less whether she lives or dies tomorrow.
I totally agree there. She wanted her... Well, Like most millennials, they want 2 minutes of fame. They think they're owed that for some reason. That's why social media is as big as it is. You're referencing Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I have Instagram. I don't know why. I only post one photo on there every few months. I mean, that's what Facebook is for.
Right. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It Podcast Show. We're on YouTube, so like and subscribe for the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm #1 fan Tim.
And that's the end.